Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Loreweek. I am, as ever and always, your host, the Lore Runner. We actually got a couple of show news tidbits to cover super quick. But before we jump into this any further, I just want to say that y'all are awesome. No, really. Now, I say that a lot, but I don't know if you know this, I'm actually a terrible liar. It's funny, actually, because I used to be a hell of a liar. And by used to be, I mean like back when I was like 14, back when I was a kid. I suppose most of us were liars as children. I've told that story before. I'm just rambling right now because I kind of want more people to hear this. So I'm just kind of rambling while I wait for people to stream in here. We've got a bunch of news from the Game Awards, of course. Most of it isn't really even news, which is why it's all under random news, because there's not really anything big going on. And we have two things to discuss with regards to the show. And then we have to do some other stuff, I'm sure. Well, that's because I am terrible at everything else. Hazardous. Obviously. That is clearly... See, that's... You're just making my point. I am clearly a terrible liar, because that is a really blatantly, provably wrong lie, then, if I was indeed doing that on purpose. Gosh. Yeah, I've been a bit busy. That's actually part of the thing I want to talk about this morning. Most of my morning was spent trying to catch up on the video game awards announcements. I couldn't even tell you much about that. Although, speaking of which, check this out. So, I didn't even look at which games won the Video Game Awards, because why would I give a damn? But there was one thing I was curious about. Who won Game of the Year? Because obviously the Game of the Year is Metroid Dread. I mean, that's just a gimme, right? But it wasn't, actually. Apparently some other game I don't remember the name of right now. It Takes Two, that's it. It Takes Two won Game of the Year. And at first I was like, well, that's strange. Then I realized that screw 2K games, and that's probably why they won. And I'm in favor of screwing 2K games. Anything that screws over 2K games is always a positive thing, so... But I was actually thinking, okay, you know what, Lore? You should do an end-of-year thing, right? So, I got a list here. Hang on. It's a kind of a big list. Give me a second. Here. Oh my god. Hang on. Okay. Just... Ah! Here we go. Okay. So... We played several games this year, so obviously we're going to go ahead and start with the worst game of the year for me. Ladies and gentlemen, the worst game of 2021 that we've played here on camera is Metroid Dread. Yeah, the only game I played that came out this year was Metroid Dread. Now, that's not super unusual. Like, normally we tend to play more older games than newer games on this show. But at the same time, it actually is unusual. It's just not mega unusual. Normally we play more than one game that came out in the year it came out. And then I looked at how many games came out this year, and it's not much of a list. There's not really a lot of games that came out this year that I was particularly interested in. There's like 5. Anyways, moving on. So for real though, God, what was the other thing I wanted to talk about? Oh yeah, I wanted to talk about how y'all are awesome. So there's a streamer who, I don't remember his name and I don't care, who said that streaming is easy. Because, so sorry, the veil has been lifted. It's actually really pathetically easy to do my job and to stream for 10 hours a day and to constantly try to stay ahead of everything while keeping everything else in track, while doing my own accounting. And it's just so easy. I'm so sorry. This whole time it's been a massive lie. Now, what's funny is if you actually bother to dissect his statements, it's pretty obvious where he's coming from, but there's something really bothers me about the fact that that's one of the biggest streamers in the world, is that guy. But let's ignore that for a second, because that doesn't matter. He's an idiot, moving on. No, what I saw that was interesting about that was people had done the numbers and people had done the math. How many streamers do you think make a living wage? Now, I don't have a finite number. What I do have is a percentage number. So what percent of streamers do you think make a living wage off of it? In the United States, sorry. I do got to clarify that. Seen a lot of 3%, which is a good guess, actually. It is, in fact, 0.015% of streamers in the United States make a living wage off of streaming. 0.015. So to reiterate the point I started this Loreweek with, y'all are awesome. For those of you not aware, this is my full-time job. I still get that question every now and again. And I do make a living wage. It's not a great life. I live in a one-bedroom apartment, so I can't afford any better. But at the same time, I can still afford to pay the bills and eat and have a roof through streaming. So... you know? It's a little bit of perspective. Speaking of perspective... That absolutely is a terrible segue, but you know what, whatever, I don't even care. Let's pull up the website. Did you know I have a website? I don't know if you knew this. It's called lorerunner.com. It's an extremely important website. But I only pay $800 a month in rent for a one-bedroom apartment. Thank you, SJ, very much. As always. And I always mean that. If you know where you want to put that, please let me know. I don't have that document up, because of course I don't. Why would I? Well, the sad thing, Skink Warrior, is $800 a month is kind of on the low end. There's literally an apartment complex right there. Like, if it's in walking distance, I could just walk over there, where it's closer to $1,200 a month. And arguably worse than what we have here. In several ways. Better in some, worse in others. Dealer's choice, you got it. Thank you again. So if we look at the website here, what we got here? We've got Regibrock, who is interrupting my comment. That's a good thing to do. Thank you, Regibrock. I do still always appreciate. And thank you, Ciela. Couldn't even finish my bow. Thank you, Ciela, again. Latonia, if you know where you want that to go, let me know, please. Oh, that's going towards Dealer's Choice for Regibrock. And that's that much. So, oh my god. Well, I can type apparently. Thank you, Timanosh. As always, I will put that towards Wasteland 3. So, if you happen to look at the list, you see we're playing A Hat in Time right now. We'll probably finish that Tuesday or Wednesday. Then we're playing through Control, Max Payne 2, bunch of relatively short games. That's why it's called the short block. Ending with a bit of platforming fun with Cyber Shadow, Time Spinner, Mummy Demastered, Bloodstained, and then finishing off with the Shovel Knight 100% run. Then we shuffle down to the FF14 block. Now, you all voted for the short block to go before the FF14 block, and it did win by quite a bit. However, that's still going to be a hell of a block. Now, here's the thing. MMOs are different when it comes to reviews because you have to do a lot of prep work off camera to make it so that you don't have a lot of mindless, boring grind on camera. That's just how that works, right? However, you're also limited on what you could do for grinding because of the fact that you can't do some of the content on or off camera because you don't actually want to, skip that content. Now, thankfully, FF14 does have a New Game Plus, so it's not completely terrible on that front. But it does still mean that I'm going to have to do a lot of leveling in order to make sure that the FF14 run is good to go. That's what I've been doing. Most of my spare time right now has been spent leveling, as you can see right now, trying to get my daily roulettes in, and all that fun stuff. I've done a little bit of basic math, and I'm pretty sure I'm not going to make it. Space Marine, you got it. Done. And thank you again, Ciela. So, since I'm probably not going to make it, I had an idea. One of the types of streams that tends to be relatively popular is Q&A streams, where we just kind of sit and, chat effectively, and Q&A while we do something relatively unrelated, something low intensity, just to have something going on while we're talking, right? So here's what I'm thinking. I have the option of completely trying to destroy my sanity and health and avoid certain aspects of my life in order to try and push, in order to somehow make it to that grind point, which I don't think I'm going to make even if I do that. Or I could continue to do as much as I can while I can, and then when we finish the short block, rather than jumping immediately in the FF14 block, we'll have a Q&A block. And we will sit here, and we will shove our nose up against the grindstone and just finish up all of the leveling that I still have to do in order to be ready for the final runs. What do y'all think of that idea? Because this idea just hit me yesterday as I was doing some scheduling and mathing and ignoring of Emperor Valerian. So, yeah, what do y'all think? Because, one thing that occurred to me, too, when I was thinking about this, was that when we were going through Polemic Day this year... How do I kick you? How do I kick you from the group? Why can I not kick you from... Do I have to... Really? Okay, hang on. Get out of the group. There. It occurred to me that when we were doing Polemic Day this year, while we certainly were doing, some polemic questions, I'd say 98% of the questions were just standard Q&A. Just normal discussion, right? Just, hey, what do you think about this thing, or this game, or this concept, or this narrative trope, or whatever. And I was like, yeah, okay. And of course we get the bad one, because we always do. But yeah, that's what kind of haunted? What's the word I'm thinking of? Sponsored? No, that's not the word. Gave me the idea for. Let's see. We only have 3 Reapers, but we do have 2 Sages, so I'm happy about that. As it should be. I'll go ahead and throw this on. So anyways, what do y'all think about The Last Jedi? I was thinking today we're going to have a nice big discussion about The Last Jedi. Yeah, that doesn't help that at all, Mr. Red. That would... I mean, if there's a game that I can play while grinding in FF14, then we probably shouldn't even be streaming that game. Let's just be honest with ourselves here. No. There we go. Hello. Ah! Hit this, and this, and this, and this, and all that. We're dead anyways. Wow! Full cooldowns, and I still died. That's fine. Yes, it's Halloween right now. This very second. Kill Darth Maduro immediately for liking... I admittedly didn't like The Last Jedi. I feel comfortable saying that now. I don't think it was the worst thing since sliced bread, but, I didn't really care for it. There are several aspects of it that just kind of irritate the piss out of me. Although what's funny is, near as I can tell, based on the common consensus, the things that irritate, most people are not the things that irritate me about that movie. Don't you dare, Mega! Let's go trigger this. Thank you, Mega. Ever and always. Now see, I think Rise of the Skywalker is the best of the new trilogy, and I'm willing to stand by that statement. And you're probably thinking, but why, Lore? It's so incongruent. It has nothing to do with Star Wars. Yeah. I agree with that. Still the best of the movies. Yeah. Piss off, Mike Romano. No, I have my own opinion, and I'm not ashamed to actually share it. See, most people look at The Last Jedi and they think, oh, Luke's completely out of character, which I don't agree with. In fact, I'm not even sure where that's coming from, to be completely honest with you. Although I do kind of have an idea with that. But no, most people... Doesn't it work, though, Luderu? Think about it. What I hate about The Last Jedi is everything about it from a logic perspective. Like, everything to do with that chase scene aggravates me on every level. Everything about that irritates me on every level. Seriously, I could just go down the list of everything to do with that chase scene, and 100% of it bothers me. Just drives me bonkers. Anyways. Yeah, at this point, Valerian, so you may remember that I gave the advice that maybe you should hold off on it for the inevitable bounce back up. I never actually got to follow through with you on that, and that is my fault. The bounce back up was when it went back up to 80-something. That was the bounce. The next bounce will happen after all this dust settles, which will probably not be for a few years at this point. So, probably made the good call in when you bowed out. But speaking of bowing out, since we have one of the longest cutscenes in this particular instance, thank you, Valerian, very much. I'm not going to bow for the whole duration, if you'll forgive me, because I don't want to fall behind on this one. But I'm going to bow until this cutscene's over. Thank you very, very much, as always, for your support, and for the fact that I can't afford a roof over my head and food to eat. You know, this morning I had bacon and eggs for breakfast. And that may not sound like a big deal, but bacon isn't super cheap, you know? I mean, it's not super expensive. I don't buy really fancy bacon, but still. The ability to eat meat on a regular basis is an expense, as anybody currently living in the States will be able to tell you about. And it's getting worse lately, too. Oh, I think this is the one. What is this one? This is, it doesn't even tell me. HCI, apparently. Well, of course he did, Hazardous. Yeah, see, that's the thing. Cream cheese? We're running out of cream cheese? Now, see, I actually have a lot of meat in my freezer because I saw this coming months ago. Because I have a brain. So I'm putting that towards FF14, obviously. I don't believe I have a Cineus. No. What is it? Yeah, we have meat shortage and a lot of random goods that are more niche goods. AKA the kind of stuff that I like. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that we're running out of. Let me give you a direct example. Pickled ginger. Of all things. Pickled ginger. Carrots have been fine so far. In fact, carrots will probably be fine for a while. I've also got a bunch of canned food, because of course I do. I love pickled ginger. In general, it's one of my favorite snack foods. Really. But the other reason I have pickled ginger is it's a sick food. It's a really good thing to settle my stomach if I'm feeling nauseous or queasy. Like just a couple days ago, actually. Oh my god. What is this guy doing? Hello, Zactov. Yes, Legend of the Gaia is actually funded. Now, in just a moment, we're going to get another cutscene here, and that's when I'm going to bow to Mr. Red. Hello, totally not Lord Harrimont. Question mark? As the saying goes. Why are they way up here? Oh, they're getting it. Whatever. Yeah, ginger beer works. So we actually have a Korean market around here, although it is a hell of a trip to get there. Like, it's already kind of a trip to get to anywhere because I kind of live in the middle of nowhere. But getting to the Korean market around here is like a multi-hour trip, and I don't have that kind of time in my life. You know? That's a good question, Compaloosa, but this isn't polemic day, so I'm afraid I can't answer it. The true essence of polemic. Technicalities. How's the Game Awards? Well, we'll get there in a minute. That'll be the random news. Okay, so now we're in... No, hang on, not this cutscene. The next cutscene, I'll say good thank you to Mr. Red. No, they most certainly do not, Larian. Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. Totally not Lord Helmet. We actually had someone else do that recently, too. Go. Okay, so we're going to beat this boss, and then we're going to have a cutscene where I'm going to bow to Mr. Red. God, I hate this MSQQ so much. Like, the other one, at least, there's long, huge stretches where I don't have to play the game at all. Which is extremely helpful for me. Because, you know, it means I can do other stuff at the time. Like, I've done editing while doing the MSQQ. I've done... I've watched episodes for, you know, for runs. For the Star Trek stuff, you know. I'm dead serious. The other MSQQ is better in every way. This one involves more actual playing the game, which is boring and dull. It involves less long cutscenes where I can actually get some stuff done. It's less experience, and it's less marks if you have tomestones if you have to care about that. Okay, thank you, Mr. Red, very much as always. I do ever and always appreciate your support. Now I gotta jot down what you're putting it towards, so give me a second here. So let's see, it looks like 10 to Futurama, 10 to Doom 2, 15 to Ride to Hell Retribution, 5 to The Last Stand Trilogy, and 10 to whatever I want to. Meanwhile, Larian has decided to give me money for some reason. We'll be talking about the Expanse in a minute. Thank you, Larian, very much, as always. I do very much appreciate that support. Thank you very, very much. And I will jot that down for the Expanse Streaminations. This is straight from the soundtrack. I'm trying to be efficient. I like to do multiple things at once. What I'm trying to do is find my favorite song from Surviving Mars, because that's the rule for the Accordance Corollary soundtrack, is I take my favorite song from a game we've run, and I do accordance on that one. So I don't know the name of it, so I just have to listen to the songs until it plays. And this is good Loreweek music anyway, so why not, right? So, is that everything? I think that's everything. We will... next week is, of course, Chapter 4 for the Undertale Theater. I extremely recommend everyone be there for it. If you don't, you suck. In addition to that... I shouldn't say that. I don't mean that. It's just... God damn it, watch the theater. And we put a lot of work and effort into it. A lot of people put a lot of themselves into it. There we go. It will actually be Chapter 5 will be happening on Christmas Day. I will be there, of course, in order to do the live commentary, as I usually do. But Chapter 4 is very, very dense. There are lots of characters doing lots of lines. It'll be our Alphys chapter. It'll be our Metaton chapter. It'll be our chapter with technically 3 shopkeeps. We'll have Burger Pants, Caddy, and Braddy. Sans has a good section. I will be yanked forward by someone. Not sure who did that. Not sure I care. Who plays Undyne? Undyne is played by Kitsune Baba, who is, of course, one of my most amazing voice actresses. And she's awesome, and she does a great job of Undyne and Toriel, because she plays both. Papyrus is played by Killing You, who absolutely nails it. What's funny is that was kind of a coincidence casting, because he said the only role he wanted to play was Papyrus. Like, that was his big goal. But I wasn't going to give it to him unless he actually nailed it, which he did, so I ended up giving him the role. It's just kind of a coincidental thing there, right? Both sides of that. Anyways, why would he have a guitar duel? Chapter 5 will go live. There is no other theater announced yet. I haven't even done anything other than the most basic prep work for the other theater, because most of my time has been spent in this game, trying to get ready for the FF14 block, as well as, of course, working on the Star Trek Rewrite project. As usual, the Star Trek Rewrite project is insane in its time consumption. I actually plan to be working on that today in order to try and get some animation done for the next episode, which is episode 6 at this point. You know how it is. It takes forever to do animation. There's nothing else for that. And there's no outsourcing that. So that's just kind of the end of that statement. I continue to think more and more that I need to just give up on the animation and do it in pure audio. But that's something that can wait for another time. And I think that's everything for show news. So let's go ahead and adjust this. So, random news, which of course in this context means Video Game Awards news. Hang on, it's done. Did I get it? I got it. I totally got it, because I'm awesome! And I've done this a few thousand times. Nope, like, maybe I didn't get it. Nope, I didn't actually time it properly. Damn! I suck! I'm the worst at everything! Oh, no, this is the one. This is the one. This is the song I want accordance right here. What is this? This is CH4. I need to write that down. This is the one I'm in accordance. There. Chapter 4. Yeah, exactly, Mega. It's just, you know how it is. Animation's just such a time consumer. Moving on. Game Awards. So I have a list of all the stuff that was announced. So first of all, this is funny to me. Now, I intend no shade to be thrown at people who are a fan of the Epic Game Store. You can like you. It's cool. I don't care. I hate the Epic Game Store and have personally forbidden it. So if a game comes out in Epic Game Store, it hasn't come out as far as I'm concerned. Now, the only reason I'm bringing this up is, ladies and gentlemen, the Epic Game Store, after 3 years of existence, has finally added a cart. Which honestly should say everything it needs to be said about it. That should be everything I need to say about the Epic Game Store in one sentence. After 3 years of operations, they added the option to have a shopping cart in their store. Moving on. We have the technology. Let's talk about Sonic. So... I'm not even making that up. That's not hyperbole. That's not anything. The way it worked before is if you wanted to buy a game, you just went immediately to buying that game. So you couldn't buy multiple games at once, you couldn't buy multiple purchases at once, and you couldn't just put something in the cart to think about it or whatever. No, it was just, you buy the game. You hit a button and you buy the game. 3 years to come up with the amazing technology. Alright, sorry. So, Sonic movie, Sonic 2? The Sonic 2 movie got a trailer. Now, for those of you who remember, I actually did watch the Sonic movie, and I liked it way more than I thought I would. Part of the reason why, and I said this at the time, and I'll stand by this, is that it wasn't actually a video game movie. It was it's a buddy cop, road trip kind of adventure movie that happened to include Sonic as a character. Maybe that was the right move, I don't know. But either way, it was surprisingly enjoyable. Sonic 2 also looks surprisingly good, just in terms of the trailer. Obviously, we have Jim Carrey back as Dr. Robotnik, and frankly, he nailed the role in the first film, so I'm looking forward to that. We're adding Tails. That's actually, I wrote down her name, Colin. I need to get these mobs. Colin O'Shaughnessy, I think, is her name. Whatever her name is, she's the woman who voices Tails in the games, and she is voicing Tails in the movie, so that is Tails' voice, and it actually sounds pretty awesome. We also have Idris Elba, one of my favorite of the modern, up-and-coming actors, as Knuckles. And he actually sounds pretty legit, too. So that's pretty awesome, and I'm pretty happy about that. I don't have much else to add. It looks really legitimate. Robotnik, Tails, Idris Elba. Sonic is being Sonic. It looks cool. I'm looking forward to it. End of statement. I need to concentrate for 1 second to make sure I grab those. I think I did. Yep, I did. Over we go. Knuckles is always British. I'm just seeing his poikers. these. All right. Speaking of which, they showed off a minuscule about a lot of these. The reason these are all random news is most of this were just like 2-minute, absolutely, non-indicative tidbits. So they showed off the first teaser of the Sonic Frontier game, which was whatever. Now it's going to be open world. It looks pretty, I guess, and in fact, overall, I was extremely unimpressed. The only reason I'm even mentioning this, other than the fact that it was showcased, is that Ian Flynn is going to be the writer, or is the writer for the game. Now, for those of you who don't know the name Ian Flynn, he was someone who wrote a lot of the Archie Mega Man comics that I talked about a lot during the Mega Man block. He is also the current head writer for the Sonic comics in the IDW line. So that's actually good news. There's a chance that game is actually going to have a decent story as a consequence of that. I don't know how the gameplay will be. A quote-unquote Sonic open world game could probably work if it just apes Mario Odyssey as hard as it possibly can. I say that kind of jokingly, but at the same time, I really don't mean that as a joke. The Mario Odyssey formula worked. And really, ultimately, the Mario Odyssey formula is just a slight variation on the Mario 64 formula. So, yeah, do it. Go for it. Either way, woo. We, of course, know nothing about that, so moving on. Homeworld 3 got a gameplay trailer. It was very weirdly edited. It did mostly show off engine footage, so not real gameplay shots. I do love the ship designs in general, and it looks like we're focusing on either Karen or someone related to Karen, which is strange. But whatever, I suppose. Nothing else to add to that. Space Marine 2 was announced, where they're showing off Tyranids now as the new thing. First of all, actually a lot can be inferred from the Space Marine 2 one. Excuse me. Wouldn't that just be a hat in time, Hazardous? I'm not going to go full in-depth into it, of course, because it's Space Marine 2. But what's really weird is that Space Marine 1 came out a decade ago. Which is just weird to think about, isn't it? Like, really process that for a second. Either way, it is obviously set later. If nothing else, we can tell that because the number of gold pins on his forehead has changed. So, that's something that indicates that. I don't actually know what else to mention about that, so... Did someone already start the fight? Someone already started the fight, of course they did. Excuse me. There we go. What was next? Right. So, next were two games that are strange to talk about, so forgive me here. So one of them is a Telltale Expanse. Now, hang on. First of all, I don't know the Expanse. I've watched none of the Expanse. I have read very, 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 very little of the Expanse, so I don't have much to say about that. These people have not done this dungeon before, I can tell. Anyways, Hang on Ventures. I'll get to that in just a second. Oh, someone took it. So, the reason I bring this up is I don't know the Expanse, so I don't know if a Telltale game is a fit for it. I've actually gone on record several times as saying that the Telltale format, not the company, but like the format of gameplay, fits just about any setting and any franchise, and I do mean that. Like, that is a statement I stand by even to this very day, and we'll talk about that more in just a second. But the point is, the fact is, this is Telltale's, The Expanse. So, for those of you not aware, a company whose name I don't remember right now and I didn't look up because it doesn't matter, effectively bought the Telltale name and the Telltale label and all that fun stuff. That's the company that's actually doing this. Now, I make this distinction because it's not really the Telltale people, the Telltale devs. It is the Telltale format, but it's not the same team. Whether that's a good or a bad thing is up to you. But it is a separate team. I shouldn't say a completely separate team, but it is a partially separate team that's working on Telltale The Expanse. So yeah, this is a whole lot of who freaking knows, but I wanted to mention that because another game that was announced was Star Trek Resurgence, which is a Telltale Star Trek game. Now hang on. Thank you, Silver Mask, very much. Always appreciate those subs. Thank you. I will put that towards Valiant Hearts. Give me a moment here. Now here's the thing. The Star Trek game, Star Trek Resurgence, you'll notice that there's no Telltale in the title. That's because that's being done by the Telltale developers who don't work at the new company that has the Telltale label. So, again, whether that's a good or a bad thing is up to you, but this is more of the original Telltale team than it was than the other one that actually has the Telltale label, because that's just how gaming works sometimes. There's a decent chance that at least one of these games will be good. As I've said before, I am in favor of the Telltale format. I always have been. But yes, this is New Tale. That's a good way to put that. Now, here's the other thing I wanted to mention about that. As I literally just said, I'm cool with just about any franchise getting a Telltale-style game, blah, 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 blah. But one of the most common questions I got was, if you could pick one franchise that isn't your own, you know, the extant, that I could make a Telltale game on, what would it be? And my answer to that has always been Star Trek. Because in my opinion, Star Trek fits the Telltale formula better than most franchises. So much of Star Trek is just set on the ship, and is dealing with the character dynamics and the crew, and, you know, they've got the away missions and all that. It fits the format so clearly, right? So, we're finally getting a Star Trek Telltale game. We'll see if it's worth a damn. That being said, the trailer didn't make me very enthusiastic, because the trailer looked kinda rough. A lot of the trailer tried to focus on the scope and scale, which is not Telltale. That's not how Telltale works. Telltale is very zoomed in, very low tier, so it's not supposed to be about scope and scale. Which brings me to Venture's question. You know, if I was going to do a Warcraft Telltale, I wouldn't have it be large tier or high tier. It would be way down below, right? I'll give it to that person. You know? But anyways. What's this song? AG. Was it Steel? Yeah, Star Trek... I mean, okay, I don't want to cast any shade at New Trek, but I usually don't think of large-scale stuff when it comes to Star Trek. I don't think of... There's a multi-light-year wide gravity anomaly that's destroying reality. That's not what comes to mind when I think of Star Trek. Just saying. Anyways... I don't think of all the dilithium in an entire quadrant was destroyed at once. That's, yeah. But no reason, Mike Tomato. No reason. I'm totally not saying that Star Trek Discovery Season 3 is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in Star Trek, including Threshold. But anyways, moving on. So, speaking of the Telltale formula, some of you know that there's this company called Quantic Dreams. And, Quantum Dreams? I think it's Quantic Dreams. Hang on, maybe did I write down the wrong name? Quantic Dreams. Quantic Dream, excuse me, it's non-plural. There we go, it is Quantic Dream. I'm right. And, yeah, they're making a game called Star Wars Eclipse. Now, they showed a trailer which showed nothing. Let's just get that out of the way. They showed nothing. However, what we did see is the fact that what they did talk about is that this is going to be a Quantic Dream style game. Now, yeah, I think you're right. Hazardous. Which is funny because I actually like that game. Yeah, almost all of these trailers showed no information. It's really quite frustrating. In fact, no, even that trailer didn't show anything. There was info on one of these games, but I had to go looking for that separate from the trailer. Anyways, so yeah, Star Wars Eclipse. It is set during the High Republic. It is set very close to the prequels from what we understand. And I predict right now, I actually predicted this yesterday 2 days ago on camera. But I predict right now on camera, to make sure everyone knows, that there's going to be a good person who's a decent dude or dudette, and all of a sudden, they give in to the dark side, and they start eating puppies immediately. Just getting that prediction out early. Anyways, it's set during the High Republic. I already mentioned that. The thing I wanted to comment on here is, first of all, that David Cage himself can go to hell. Literally or metaphorically, I'm okay with either, really. But Quantic Dream, excuse me, it is singular. Quantic Dream has put out some interesting games. I've only liked one of theirs. That would be Detroit Become Human. And even Detroit Become Human had some Cage-isms in it. Pretty much 1/3 of the story was Cage-isms, actually. But the other 2/3 of the story were legit, and I really liked those. And a lot of people have made the observation, which I agree with, that each Quantic Dream game has gotten a little bit better than the previous one, right? So, I'm actually, based on that and nothing else, I am somewhat hopeful. Like, maybe we'll get to the point where only 1/4 of the story is garbage. I don't know. So, brief explanation on why David Cage sucks. So there's a concept called on the nose. Now, on the nose means you write something so overt and so blatant that it has no... There's no style, effort, or work put into writing it, okay? Now, let me explain what I mean by that, because this is a gradient that some people don't seem to understand. He's also a dick, but I was leaving that at the floor. He's a total asshole. He's a Rule Zero violator. But yeah, sometimes being really blatant works. Sometimes being really blatant actually accomplishes its objective. It depends on how you do it, though, and that's the catch. If you're going to be really overt with your symbolism, you need to work even harder to make it work. You need really excellent writing. You need really excellent acting. You need great cinematography. You need to really make every line and every scene pop if you're going to do something that overt, okay? Now, I could name some examples, but of course that's subjective. The point is, it is possible to be extremely overt and have it work. That being said, all that I said about all that work that goes into it, David Cage does none of that. He skips all of the hard work of presentation and value and mode and utilization. He doesn't use anviliciousness as a tool. He uses it as the only style of writing he knows. So when all you do is extremely blatant, overt, over-the-top symbolism, that's David Cage in a nutshell. So that's why I say we're probably gonna have one person, probably gonna be a dude, and he's totally gonna look like Anakin, and he's gonna be like, I'm here to help people, but then I gave in to the dark side, and he's gonna turn into a puppy eater. I'm predicting it right now because that's just David Cage. You know? Anyways, it's also the bog standard Star Wars story, and he will probably want to do that as well. I am nevertheless hopeful that we'll get something good in Eclipse. I am. I really do hope we're going to get something there. I have heard good things about the High Republic. I personally haven't actually looked into the High Republic at all. Time. You know, it's not really an interest thing. It's just a time thing. But we'll see. We'll see. Speaking of Star Wars, I swear this makes sense in my head. We're getting a new Dune game. This is called Dune Spice Wars. Now, I should probably turn off my tank stance, actually. Let's just turn that off. There we go. No, Zach Taft. Not at all. Whoops. Dune is popular right now. It's weird how that works out. Good film. I liked the film. I did actually really legitimately love the film. It was probably one of the first times I could say I loved Dune, and I stand by that. Yeah, the screenshots. So I mentioned there was a game that actually did have info. So the Dune trailer didn't say anything, of course. But if you actually go to the Steam page, there are actual screenshots of gameplay interface and mechanics. We see a bit of the diplomacy screen. We see a bit of the unit interface. What it looks like is it looks like they've taken Dune, the old Dune RTS, the old Dune game, the old Dune strategy game, and they've touched it up and polished it up, and they've added what I'm going to call 4X Lite features on top of it. And if you don't know what 4X Lite is, Star Wars Empire at War or the Total War series. They're not actually 4X elements, but they lean in that direction. You know what I mean? Like, there's a strategic layer there that isn't usually present in an RTS game. And it looks like that's where they're going with it, which conceptually is cool. I mean, Total War series is legit, and, you know, Empire at War is actually kind of crap, but point being, it could actually be cool. I'll take you over here. It is still real time, but we'll see. We will see. I'm curious about that one more than I am most of the others. That's by the way, speaking of which, the Dune Spiceward game was being made by the people who made Northgard. Now, I'm gonna go admit that I've never played Northgard, so I have absolutely no idea if that's a good or a bad thing. But if anybody has played Northgard, feel free to jump in and give some thought on that one. Is that me again? Nope, it's that person. Okay, sorry. Speaking of which, Alan Wake 2 was announced, and we have no info on that at all. I have literally nothing to say about that other than the fact that it's Alan Wake 2. In fairness, that's actually been a long time in coming. There's been a long delay before that one got announced. That's whatever. Oh yeah, that's also not coming out on PC. Speaking of games, which I know nothing about, Wonder Woman is getting a game. That's actually not true. I do know exactly one factoid, about the Wonder Woman game. Okay. Sure, I'll take less damage, or I won't take less damage. So nobody made any puddles. Okay, that's cool. Who needs taking less damage, am I right? It's just face mulch. Face mulch. Oh, that sucks, Doctor Who. But we all saw that coming years ago, so that's not really surprising. Pass. Yes, the Nemesis system. This is the one bit of information I do have about the Wonder Woman game. And the only bit of information I have about the Wonder Woman game. I don't even know what type of game it is. It's probably your generic third-person action adventure, because everything is that nowadays. Speaking of which, we have another one to talk about in just a moment. But I do like the Nemesis system quite a bit. I especially liked it in the second game where it was developed more and fleshed out more. Here's hoping that they actually do something with the Nemesis system, because that would be awesome. Frankly, I think a lot of games of multiple genres could use a Nemesis system, but that discussion is neither here nor there. Yeah, exactly, Malik. Like I said, there's a lot of games that could use it. Anyways. So, speaking of generic third-person action-adventure games, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League finally actually showed off some gameplay. We've known about this game for quite a while at this point. Oh, for God's sakes. Stop. Look, is that another tank? I think that's another tank. So they showed off... Yeah, that doesn't work that way. Hazardous. They showed off some actual gameplay, and I watched the full trailer. It reminded me a lot of Saints Row 4, in a good way. So one of the things that Saints Row 4 did that most people don't really talk about with regards to game design is the fact that I'm petrified for several seconds. Come on! Is the fact that it was an open-world brawler. Now, I know that sounds like a strange comment, but what I mean by that is its encounter design was very clearly designed around the idea of a brawler, a beat-em-up, right? You know, River City Ransom, or Double Dragon, or Fist of Fury. That was the core design element of the encounter design in Saints Row 4. But it was open world. Now, what that meant was three things. Number one, you kind of got to pick your encounters in a way. Because nothing's really trapping you there. There's no, you can't leave to the left or right side of the screen. If there's an encounter that you don't want to fight, you just don't fight it, or you leave. You can actually bow out and recover a bit and then go back and resume the fight. Number two is it meant that each encounter was a fight across multiple areas and multiple buildings. So, like, rather than just this one little arena we're fighting in here, I guess you can't really see that. You could fight here, and then you could go around this building in order to hit this guy, and you could throw this car over this thing, and it just allowed you to kind of keep the attack vectors in whatever direction you wanted to. And yeah, you could super run away or whatever. Sometimes I had to do that because I was getting my ass handed to me. But anyways, the third and most important thing, of course, is it also means that those encounters, while they are the meat of the gameplay, are things that you decide when and how you fight at all. You could see a brawl down there, and you could decide, I just don't feel like fighting that, and just keep going, right? it was an interesting take on it. I do think it worked out quite well in Saints Row's Forsake, and the reason I keep hammering this point in is because this is exactly what what was this called? Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League looks like. It looks like the Saints Row 4 formula, an open world brawler, which is trying to ape that, except you're playing as the aforementioned Suicide Squad. So we saw that you could play as Shark, we saw that you could play as Captain Boomerang, and a couple other people I didn't actually recognize because Deadshot, Killshot, Ripshot, Shot Kill, and Deadshot, Shot 2, Shot Harder, are all so identical that I couldn't even tell you which one's which off the top of my head. Nevertheless, they did show off some gameplay. We do see some jetpacks is a thing. You can just jetpack away. Again, the Saints Row 4 thing. We do have a lot of special moves because, of course, we do. We're fighting way above our weight class because we're fighting the Flash, who's already a problem. Oh yeah, Harley's there too. It's they showed off her shoving a bomb down an enemy's throat. That looked fun. Oh, Shot. He already got shot. Ventures. He's dead now. Yeah, Harley looked fun. Honestly, the guy who looked the most fun to me was the Killshot guy, who's Deadshot's cousin, related to Killshot and Shot. Mostly because I love jetpack gameplay. What do you want from me? I got nothing, okay? It's a jetpack. What do you want? A jetpack and a sniper rifle, actually. So, you know, that's just joy. But anyways, they're fighting against Flash, who is being possessed and mind-controlled by Brainiac, who is way higher tier than what the Suicide Squad should be dealing with, because it's freaking Brainiac. We'll see if they do anything with that. Most of the focus was on trying to go after the more low-tier minion stuff. It does look fun. It does look fun. Thank you, Eclectic, very much, as always. As ever and always appreciate. Thank you. I'm just saying. I mean, think about Tetris with a jetpack. No, seriously, think about it for a second. Oh no, I didn't mean to put this piece here. And it's over there now. There you go. You can quote me on that. Alright, so hang on. Let me write down those donations from Eclectic really quick. So it's going towards Okami, the Arcane Streaminations, and I don't know that acronym. ATLA. Always the last anthem? If you remember, the only gameplay positive I gave to Anthem was for its jetpack gameplay. Avatar. Streaminations, got it. Speaking as a massively huge fan of Avatar, the last Runbender, I am definitely aware of everything about it. All of the things. Here we go. Okay. So then they showed off something weird. Actually, let's save that for last. So then they didn't show off something weird. They showed off something boring. Rumbleverse. Now, this is a weird one, because they actually showed off a decent amount of gameplay for the Rumbleverse, and I still couldn't tell you what the hell it is. According to the press release, I'm a toad, and that's the important part. According to the press release, it is a Battle Royale wrestler game? But it wasn't actually all that interesting looking. So I'm just... Anyways, the next game they showed off was Thirsty Suitors. Rumbleverse is the name of the game, Melicor. Sorry, I thought I said that already. So Thirsty Suitors is a game in which you play a woman who has broken so many hearts that all of her exes have gotten together to form a league of exes, if you will, to go fight you. This sounds familiar for some reason. It is apparently a turn-based JRPG style game where you do play a woman. Yeah, it's very, very Scott Pilgrim. It deliberately. Even the style and approach of the game is... I don't know what to call that. Like that particular brand of wacky parody, you know? And it looks surprisingly amusing. I'm not sure what to say of the gameplay, because of course why would you show gameplay off in a trailer? What's wrong with you? But nevertheless, it did look interesting enough to catch my attention. Unfortunately, I don't have anything else to say about that. That leads us to Nightingale. This actually caught my attention. This is probably one of the only games that really caught my eye this particular round. So Nightingale looks a lot like a Bethesda-style RPG, or a BRPG as I like to call them. You have build elements, survival elements, and the primary gameplay loop is a first-person shooter. I'll go for the far one, because nobody ever goes for the far one. And so the premise is that it's very Victorian, very steampunk, which I'm always in favor of that aesthetic. It's a cool aesthetic. And it looks like what happened is we had designed some portals to lead to other realms, and then the portal network shut down. And as a direct consequence, several of the explorers were just kind of left stranded in some of these other dimensions, most of which are the realms of the Fae. So that's a problem for anybody who knows anything about the Fae. Now, the premise of the game seems to be very survivalist with a storyline, like Subnautica or something else I can't think of off the top of my head. 8 Survivors, I guess, might be another one. Because it looks like we're trying to find resources and connect with other people and get things built and then try to reactivate the portals so we can get the hell out of the Fae realms. And the way the gameplay loop is constructed is that each time we successfully go through a portal, we end up in another realm. They hint that it's random. They didn't say this outright, but they hint that it's a random realm you go to, because again, survivalist gameplay. And that new realm may be further down into the Fae realms, or further up, which is what you want. You want to get out, right? And that's the overall loop. So the premise and the concept caught me, That just sounds very intriguing. I tend to like good survival gameplays. I have to add that addendum of good, because in my experience, 99% of survival games suck. So this one caught my attention. This one might actually be a good one. Now, unfortunately, the thing that'll really make it not suck, the gameplay, is the thing they showed the least about. All they really showed off was the building structure and all that. The name of the game is Nightingale. And, yeah, it looks legit. It looks legit. I'm actually kind of excited about it. So that's one that caught my eye, like I said. Then we had something, which we've known about for a while. They showed us some footage of the Halo TV series, which is going to be showing on Discovery Plus, which I admit I'm a little surprised by, but whatever, as they say. So, this is a weird one. Now, I'm only semi-recently into the Halo series myself, as far as fondness, but I've been following the lore for some time, because of course I have, it's my job. And the really weird thing is I couldn't tell you when exactly this show is set, or what it's showing. In fact, the creators and the marketing team have been very quiet about specifically what the show is covering in terms of story. We do know it is going to include the Covenant and the UAC or whatever. That's about it, really. We do know that John is in it. We do know that What's-Her-Face is in it. But that's it. Now, the reason I'm being so vague about this, not only is because they're being vague about this, but because this could be a retelling of Halo 1, it could be a retelling of Reach, it could be a completely new story that is supposed to be addendum to Halo, that works alongside it. It could be canon, in other words. I have no idea. And they're not telling. So who knows? I'm not sure what I think of the footage, either. It is live action, because of course it is. What else have we got? And then we have one last thing which they showed off. This is weird. So they had Keanu Reeves show up, and he was like, "Hi, I'm Anderson. I'm Mr. Anderson, and I'm Neo, and everything's real or unreal." And then he said, "Hi, I'm Keanu Reeves." And I'm like, okay, you're being cute. I get it. But they kept talking about whether something is real or whether something is unreal, because what it actually is a showcasing of Unreal 5. Now, I did a little looking into this. Unreal 5 is apparently not fully out yet. It is possible, however, for developers to get a hold of Unreal 5 now and start working with early builds of it in order to see what they can do with it. It is completely a tech demo. This game, it's actually called The Matrix. But it's this, they're trying to show off some of what you can do with Unreal 5. And while the actual gameplay they showed was pathetic, it was literally a rail shooter and a little bit of driving gameplay, what they really showed off is what the engine can do and how it can run all sorts of stuff, which I don't have the words for right now. But like, you know, AI scripts and object renders and what it does where, how it handles collision, how it handles object destruction, etc., etc., etc. Like I said, it's a tech demo. And they just decided to show that off, and that makes a lot of sense, so I'm with it. I hope you look forward to playing The Matrix on the Epic Game Store, which has a cart now. Sorry. Am I optimistic for Matrix 4? No, I am not. Will I see it? That depends more on other people than me, as it always does when it comes to films. So I have no idea if I'm actually going to see that one or not. I might. Yeah, you know, it's whatever. That's actually it. That's all I got. Most of this week was just, you know, VGA announcements and people reacting to those announcements. What I'm discouraged by, personally, is how little actual information is in these announcements. I know we've been talking for like an hour. But let's be honest. What did we actually learn? So there is a Sonic 2. It looks cool. There's a Sonic game being written by Ian Flynn. There's a Homeworld 3, which we already knew. There's a Space Marine 2, which includes Tyranids. There's a Telltale Expanse game and a Telltale Star Trek game. There's a Star Wars A Quantic Dream game. There's a Dune game. Alan Wake 2 was announced. Wonder Woman is coming out with the Nemesis system. Suicide Squad actually had gameplay. There's a brawler wrestling battle royale. There's a turn-based game about people who are your exes. Nightingale sounds awesome. There's a Halo TV series, which we already knew, and there's a Matrix Unreal demo. And all of that is pretty much it. That's it. That's all we got. Not much news this particular week. How many of these would make my list? Homeworld 3 is a maybe. Space Marines 2 is a maybe. Star Trek Resurgence is a definitely. Star Wars Eclipse is a maybe. Dune Spice Wars is a maybe. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is a maybe. And Nightingale is a definitely. So, I guess two of them, Nightingale and Star Trek Resurgence, are the ones that caught my eye the most of this particular group. Oh, Jesus Christ, are you kidding me? So that's actually it. That's all I got for this week. Yeah, I still need to do Space Marine 1. Can't play Space Marine 2 without playing Space Marine 1.